These are 12 of the most limited classic cars that every muscle fan dreams of owning. They're rare, powerful, and harder to find than treasure in the desert. Number 12. Plymouth Roadrunner, 1968 to 1970. The Plymouth Roadrunner came alive with a vibe of pure muscle under the hood. This car was not about showing off with shiny extras or fancy interiors. It was about going fast, making noise, and leaving everything else in the dust. Its outside had a blacked-out grille, sharp lines, and even a cartoon bird badge on the doors. Inside, it looked as basic as a city bus, but that didn't matter. Now, let's get to speed. Right from the start, in the year 1968, the Roadrunner came with a big 383 cubic inch V8 engine. It pushed out 335 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque. This engine came from another Plymouth muscle car and had huge valves, strong valve springs, and big ports for air and fuel. Even with all this power, it came at a shockingly low price. That meant younger drivers who couldn't afford the expensive cars could still grab a seat in something that roared like a lion. Speaking of big roars, drivers who wanted more could add a 426 cubic inch Hemi engine. This beast delivered 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. It made the Roadrunner almost impossible to catch in a race. With this setup, it could blast from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 5 seconds. Now here's the twist. In the year 1969, a new surprise came. Midway through the year, the Roadrunner offered the 446-barrel engine with 3 two-barrel carburetors. It made 390 horsepower and came with a black fiberglass hood that could be lifted off, giving it a bold look. Only 1,412 Roadrunners had this A12 package. That rare number makes these models some of the most wanted by collectors today. From 1968 to 1970, the total Roadrunner sales were about 170,000 units. The highest-selling year was 1969, when more than 84,000 cars were made. That same year, the Roadrunner even won Car of the Year from a top car magazine. It beat out other muscle car favorites because it was the quickest, stopped the fastest, and handled almost perfectly. Changes kept coming. In the year 1970, the Roadrunner got a new grille, new fenders, and even high-back bucket seats. The air grabber hood scoop got a makeover too. This time, it popped up and showed off shark teeth graphics. That year, wild paint colors like in Violet and Moulin Rouge were also brought in. But even with cool updates, sales dropped by half. Just over 41,000 units were sold that year, and it was the last year for the convertible version, with only 834 made. So why is it a favorite? Because it was raw, rare, and ridiculously fast. Number 11, 1971, Plymouth Superbird, 440. The 1971 Plymouth Superbird 440 stood out because it pushed beyond the normal muscle car look. Its shape was wild and wind-cutting. The nose was sharp and long, and a giant rear wing sat high over the back of the car. This design helped it go faster on oval tracks. It wasn't just for looks. It sliced through the air and gave the car more grip on the road. People either loved the shape or didn't get it at all. But the point was speed, and that wing meant business. Moving to the engine, here's what made it roar. The Superbird came with a strong 440 cubic inch V8 engine. This beast had 3 two-barrel carburetors, called the 6-barrel. It had around 385 horsepower, making it strong enough to go from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. It made a deep, growling sound that muscle car fans still talk about today. It was made to race, and even the version you could buy for the street had that spirit. Here's something really rare. In total, around 1,935 Plymouth Superbirds were built and sent to dealers across the United States. Out of those, only about 716 had the 446-barrel engine. That's why this version is very special today. A few dozen more cars were said to go to Canada, but most stayed right here. That number matters because car companies don't build so few cars unless they have a strong reason. In this case, it was built just so it could race in NASCAR. That racing league had strict rules. So to race a special model, you had to sell some to the public too. But things started to change quickly. Rules in racing started limiting the really fast, slippery cars. New engine size limits and weight rules made it harder for cars like the Superbird to win. Even though it was still legal to race, it just couldn't keep up under the new laws. That's why 1970 was the main year for the Superbird, and the 1971 versions are much rarer. They were caught in a time shift where the rules and safety needs were changing. Back to the road, the Superbird was still a blast to drive. It had power, it had grip, and it turned heads wherever it went. It was based on another car called the Roadrunner, but it had upgrades in both speed and style. And one detail people shouldn't forget is the bright colors of the paint. Yellow, orange, and blue bodies with black graphics made sure they never blended in. The giant rear wing stood taller than the roof. It made the car look like a jet. All these things, the looks, the speed, and the small number made, are why the 1971 Plymouth Superbird 440 is a moment in muscle car history that never came back. Number 10, 1969 Dodge Charger. The 1969 Dodge Charger showed off power with bold design and pure muscle. It came with many engine options, but the strongest were the big V8 engines, like the 440 cubic inch and the 426 Street Hemi. Both made the Charger fast, loud, and hard to ignore. With 3 different transmissions, including a quick-shifting 4-speed manual, this machine could roar down straight roads or speed around corners with ease. Here's where it gets cooler. The Charger had a pointed nose and strong body lines that cut through the air. For racing, 2 special versions were made. One was called the Charger 500, the other the Daytona. These were built for high speeds on long racetracks. The Charger Daytona had a huge rear wing and a long front nose, helping it go over 200 miles per hour. That was rare and wild back then. Next comes the rare count. In total, 104,978 Chargers were built during that year. That sounds like a lot, but when you break it down, the limited high-performance models are much fewer. Only 503 Daytona cars were made to meet racing rules. Even fewer were built with the 426 Hemi engine, making those additions even more special. Here are some more fun facts now. The Charger RT was the version most people think of when talking about muscle. It came with tough suspension and a rumbling dual exhaust, and could hit a quarter mile in under 14 seconds. That's a fast car for the time. Magazine tests back then proved it, showing speeds of over 100 miles per hour in just a short sprint. It wasn't just for looks, it really could fly. Under the hood, the Charger's 440 engines pushed out over 370 horsepower. With its thick tires and wide stance, it could grip the road well and stay steady at high speeds. The Charger was built on a long 117-inch wheelbase and used torsion bars in front and leaf springs in the back to keep it balanced and strong. These parts helped it drive smoothly, even while going fast. Just look around the body. The front had pop-up headlights that slid open like eyes. The back had wide taillights that stretched across. Every line was shaped with muscle. Even the roof, the hood, and the sides flowed with power. Inside, the seats and dash made it feel like a spaceship for the streets. This car wasn't only about speed, it was about style and sound too. Today, many have been lost or wrecked. That's why Chargers with their original engines, paint, and body parts are so rare now. Their strong history in racing and movies only adds to the love. The 1969 Dodge Charger still stands as one of the most exciting and limited muscle cars ever built. Number 9, 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Only a few Camaros ever got something this wild under the hood. This one had an engine made fully from aluminum, not heavy iron. That made it light but super strong. With over 500 horsepower hiding in a V8 engine, this Camaro was built to fly down the drag strip. The engine was not just light, it was built just like the ones used in real race cars. It had a sound and feel that only serious drivers would understand. From the outside, it looked like a plain Camaro, but inside it was a rocket waiting to launch. Now, stepping into performance, this Camaro could go from 0 to 60 in about 5.3 seconds. It ran the quarter mile in just over 13 seconds. It had a top speed of 125 miles per hour. All that power came with special parts. It had strong brakes in the front, a tough rear axle with a 4-to-1 gear, and a heavy-duty transmission. That helped it handle all that engine muscle without falling apart. It also had a special cowl induction hood that helped the engine breathe better. Moving on to how rare it was, only 69 of these were ever made in the whole world. That makes this Camaro one of the rarest classic cars ever built. Most of the cars went straight to drag racers. A few were sold to collectors, but not many people could even find one. Some of them sat unsold for years because there were too many cars for regular driving. A few even had their engines taken out and sold by themselves. Even more interesting, the engine was hand-built in a super clean room and took 16 hours to put together. That was not normal for regular cars. Most engines were made on a line, fast and simple. This one was made with care, one at a time. The block and heads were aluminum, and it made over 500 horsepower with just a few upgrades. The factory rated it lower on paper, but real racers knew the truth. With better exhausts and tuning, it could run in the 11s at over 120 miles per hour on the track. Let's not forget that it was still street legal. That meant you could drive it on the road, even if it felt more like a race car. Most Camaros back then had smaller engines and more comfort inside. The ZL one was the opposite. It was plain on the inside and loud under the hood. It was not built for relaxing. It was built to win. So why is it limited? Because it was only made to meet the rules of racing and was not to be sold to everyone. Number 8. Buick GSX 1970. A bright yellow paint with black stripes stretches across the long sides, wrapping over the spoiler like lightning frozen in time. That was the look of the 1970 Buick GSX. It sat low, wide, and angry, wearing huge tires and a deep chin spoiler that meant business. The stripes weren't just for show. They warned other drivers this car was hiding serious power under the hood. Not many muscle cars from that time looked this aggressive. They were just sitting still. Then came the engine's surprise. Under the long hood, you found a massive 455 cubic inch V8. It came in two versions. The regular one made 350 horsepower, but the Stage 1 version turned the muscle dial even higher. It had a different camshaft, bigger valves, and special tuning. That version was rated at 360 horsepower, but everyone knew it secretly pushed over 400. Even more impressive, it delivered 510 pound-feet of torque, and it did it early, just at 2,800 revolutions per minute. That meant this big Buick could leap forward like a cheetah chasing dinner. Now, here's something cool. The GSX wasn't just about raw power. It handled well too. To make that happen, there was a special suspension called Rally Ride Control. That added stronger springs, heavy-duty shocks, and thick sway bars. It also had 7-inch wide wheels wrapped in fat Goodyear tires. That gave it a grip to match its muscle. People driving it said it was the best handling supercar around. That was rare for a car so large and powerful. Not many were lucky enough to own one. In all, only 687 of these muscle machines were built in 1970. Of those, 187 wore Apollo white, and the other 491 roared in Saturn yellow. All had black interiors, with bucket seats and a floor shifter. You could not choose another color or trim inside. Buick wanted the GSX to be bold and unified. Right behind the steering wheel sat gauges that meant business. A rally clock, full operating meters, and a padded wheel gave the driver control and focus. Outside, every GSX had color-matched mirrors, matching headlight bezels, and a special hood tachometer that stuck up through the hood. That lets the driver read the engine speed without looking down. At the back, the wide spoiler and black stripes screamed performance. Moving on to its performance numbers, this car was quick. One test recorded 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.5 seconds. Another saw the car finish a quarter-mile race in 13.38 seconds at 105.5 miles per hour. That was blazing fast for a car of nearly 4,000 pounds. Today, the GSX is rare because it was a beast dressed like a warrior. Number 7. 1971. Plymouth Barracuda. Straight from the factory, one version came with the famous 426 cubic inch street Hemi engine and a convertible top. That alone makes it special. But then there's this. Only 12 Hemi convertibles were ever built in 1971. Just 12 in total. That kind of number makes it more than rare. It turns the car into a collector's dream. a near mythical machine in the world of muscle cars. Here's something cool to know. While most cars try to stand out with fancy names or badges, the Barracuda needed none of that. Its power did the talking. There were other strong engines in the mix too, like the 440 cubic inch 6-barrel. That one packed 3 2-barrel carburetors and came close to the Hemi in performance. When you saw the shaker hood scoop sticking up through the hood, you knew this was no ordinary ride. That scoop helped ram air into the engine, boosting its strength. It also looked aggressive, giving the car its wild racing spirit. Let's look at another version, the one with a 318 cubic inch V8. Sounds tame, right? But some came in rare colors like Bahama Yellow. Just 3 were believed to be built for a parade group, all with the same engine, color, and trim. That's where things get really fun. Even a smaller engine car can be considered super rare if it has low production and a strange backstory. People say those 3 yellow convertibles were once part of a hospital parade team. Whether that story is fully true or not, the car's low number makes it a one-of-a-kind find. Moving forward to performance parts, you'll see why some Barracudas don't just look fast. They act like race cars. Some have been rebuilt with custom coilover shocks, rack and pinion steering, and upgraded brakes. Underneath, you might find fat headers, twisting toward a powerful exhaust system, all tied together by solid frame connectors. These changes make the car feel tight in corners, even though older Barracudas were known for poor handling back in the day. What about the inside? Rally gauges, pistol grip shifter, wood grain wheel, all details that show the care put into the design. Some even have air conditioning with electric controls and soft new carpets for comfort. Even more impressive, the better examples have been soundproofed with special insulation, so the ride feels smooth despite the engine's roar. On top of that, every Barracuda from 1971 was built slightly differently. No 2 were exactly alike in trim, transmission, or color. That means even among the rare models, each one carries its own story. And when a car is both high performance and super low in production numbers, it turns into something greater. Not just a car, but a legend on wheels. Number 6, 1970, Pontiac GTO. Not many cars looked as bold as 1970 Pontiac GTO Judge. The front rubber bumper fits tight and smoothly, and is painted to match the body. 2 hood scoops rise up with purpose, pulling cool air straight into the powerful engine. The Judge stripes stretch down the sides in wild colors, giving the car an extra flash that stands out. In the back, a tall spoiler finishes the look. All around the body, parts like the weather strips, seals, and glass are fresh. The wheels are restored to the 15-inch Rally 2 style with wide oval tires, making sure they look and grip just right. Next, take a step inside. The saddle-colored seats, door panels, and headliner are all redone to look brand new. A Formula steering wheel wraps your hands in a sporty style. Sitting in the middle is a console with a Hurst T-handle shifter, showing this car means business. On the dash, the rally gauges and tachometer are sharp and ready. The carpet is clean, the seat belts are complete, and even the floor mats are reproduction, matching the original design. Now let's talk power. Under the cover sits a real Ram, Air 3 400 cubic inch V8 engine. This one is the original, matching the car's identity. It was rebuilt carefully with new pistons, cam, crank, bearings, and more. On top is a full working Ram air system, pulling in air through the scoops. Around the engine bay, every hose, clamp, and wire is neat and correct. Even the battery has a period-correct topper. This engine isn't just strong, it's also restored to its normal condition. The car also has power brakes and steering, making it easier to drive. In the trunk, the metal is solid and painted in a gray spatter finish. The weather strip is new, and it holds a matching Rally 2 spare with a jack kit. Open the lid, and you'll see the same shiny green as the body. Nothing is missing. Here's the rare part. Only 3,797 units of this exact model were ever made. That includes every hardtop and ragtop Judge from that year, which makes this a very hard-to-find ride today. Number 5, 1970, Chevrolet Chevel LS6. Even with the big body, the power was impossible to miss. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevel LS6 came with one of the wildest V8s ever built in its time. This engine, called the LS6, was a 454 cubic inch monster. It had 450 brake horsepower and used a high compression setup to squeeze out every bit of strength. At the heart of this beast sat a single 4-barrel Holley carburetor that fed all 8 cylinders fast and full. Right away, this made the Chevel one of the fastest factory cars ever put on the street. Now, moving under the hood, the big block V8 wasn't just for looks. When it roared to life, it pushed the heavy car like it was weightless. The 4-speed Muncie M22 transmission, often called the Rock Crusher, made gear shifts loud and strong. You could feel every move, but not everything was smooth. The car had so much twist from its engine that it often jammed the shifter rods during hard takeoffs. Still, even with that, the LS6 was a car that made hearts race and tires spin. It had front disc brakes and rear drum brakes, just enough to stop this giant once it was done flying down the road. Let's pause and talk numbers. Out of over 600,000 Chevelles made that year, only 4,475 were built with the LS6 engine. That is what makes it so rare today. Most Chevelles came with smaller engines, but this one was a true special edition. The LS6 was for people who wanted all the power they could get, even if it meant burning rubber with every stoplight. Digging deeper into the design, the Chevel LS6 looked ready to race. It came with a domed hood and a special cowl induction scoop that opened when the engine needed more air. This helped with speed and kept the engine cool during hard runs. The bright cranberry red paint, black stripes, and super sport wheels made it loud even when standing still. The black soft top folded back with ease, and the interior came with black bucket seats, a center console, and a sporty steering wheel. Nothing fancy, just built for action. From every angle, the 1970 Chevrolet Chevel LS6 was raw muscle. Only a few were made, but every one of them left a trail of smoke and history behind. Number 4, 1968 Shelby GT500 KR. The 1968 Shelby GT500 KR roared onto the scene with a powerful heart. A 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 engine. This big block engine was rated at 335 brake horsepower by the factory, but everyone knew it actually packed more than 400 horses under the hood. With a single 4-barrel carburetor feeding fuel, the GT500 KR was built to dominate the streets. It also made an impressive 440 pound-feet of torque, which helped it launch hard and fast from a standstill. Moving to the drivetrain, the car came with a heavy-duty 3-speed C6 automatic transmission. This setup was made to handle all the engine's force without breaking a sweat. The suspension included front independent unequal length control arms and a solid rear live axle with semi-elliptic leaf springs. Braking was strong too, with front disc brakes and rear drums giving the GT500 KR the stopping power needed for its big engine. Interestingly, only 1,251 GT500 KRs were made in 1968. Of these, just 318 were convertibles, making the drop-top version especially rare and sought after today. This limited production makes the GT500 KR a prized classic for collectors who want muscle car power and style. In terms of design, the 1968 GT500 KR featured a more aggressive look than earlier Mustangs. The hood was extended and included dual air scoops and cooling vents that gave it a mean, race-ready appearance. The headlights were redesigned, and the rear end showed off new taillights with sequential turn signals and a clean, integrated rear spoiler. These details added to the car's sharp personality and made it stand out from other muscle cars of its time. Inside, the GT500 KR balanced power with comfort. The cabin was more refined than earlier versions, offering upgraded brakes and body bracing to handle the strong engine. Staggered rear shocks helped reduce axle twists during hard acceleration. The car was made for those who wanted not only speed, but also control and stability. What made this car truly special was how it combined a NASCAR-inspired engine with a refined Shelby Mustang package. Simply put, The 1968 Shelby GT500 KR was a rare muscle car legend with a powerful engine and limited numbers, making it a true prize among classic car lovers. Number 3. Oldsmobile 442, 1971. The 1971 Oldsmobile 442 W30 carried on muscle car tradition, even as tougher rules forced some changes under the hood. The big 455 cubic inch V8 engine was still at its core, but now ran with a lower compression ratio of 8.5 to 1, down from 10.5 to 1 the year before. This change meant power took a small hit, dropping from the previous year's ratings, yet the W30 still packed a respectable 350 horsepower, holding on to muscle car spirit when many others softened. Notably, the W30 engine was more than just a number on paper. It featured factory blueprinted parts, keeping the hotter camshaft if paired with a manual transmission, and came with performance upgrades like an aluminum intake manifold and a low-restriction air cleaner. Plus, the car retained its functional cowl induction hood, designed to pull in cooler air and boost power. This package made the W30 stand out, even as regulations tried to tame the muscle car roar. Interestingly, only 920 W3442s were built that year, making this model a rare find today. Among those, just over 100 were convertibles, adding an extra layer of collectability. Limited production like this adds to why the 442 W30 remains a prized classic muscle car, as it represents a final push before muscle cars truly begin to lose their aggressive edge. Visually, the 1971 model kept many of the strong styling cues from the previous years. The grille gained black inserts, surrounded by silver trim, and the headlight bezels also sported a silver finish. At the back, horizontal taillights replaced older designs, and the rear spoiler added a sporty touch. Inside, the car featured a full center console with a dual-gate shifter and factory gauges, including a tachometer. Comfort and control were boosted with power steering, power four-wheel disc brakes, and vintage air conditioning to keep drivers cool on warm days. Performance-wise, the car ran the quarter mile in about 15.2 seconds at 99 miles per hour, with a 0 to 60 time near 8.9 seconds when equipped with the 3-speed automatic transmission. These numbers showed the W30's muscle wasn't just about looks. It delivered solid speed and acceleration despite new restrictions. Along with these features, the 1971 442 W30 offered suspension tuned for better handling, a functional cowl hood for extra airflow, and dual Flowmaster exhausts that gave it a deep, throaty sound. Together, these details formed a muscle car that held on to its identity while facing changing times. Number 2. 1970 Dodge Challenger RT. Muscle lived in every inch of the 1970 Dodge Challenger RT, and when paired with the 426 cubic inch street Hemi, it delivered the kind of torque that turned tires into smoke. This Hemi engine, fed by dual Carter 4-barrel carburetors, was rated at 425 brake horsepower and an incredible 490 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 4-speed manual transmission and topped off with the iconic shaker hood. This E-body machine didn't just compete in the pony car war, it rewrote the battlefield rules. Matching that mechanical fury, the exterior draped in Hemi orange with a black vinyl roof was a shout rather than a whisper. Everything from its black RT side stripes to its factory rear spoiler added to its bold presence. Deeper still, the functional design of the hood scoops, chrome-trimmed rocker panels, and dual rectangular tailpipes told you this was not just about looks. Rally wheels wrapped in period-correct rubber made sure the stance looked as aggressive as the performance it delivered. What really sets this car apart is how rare it is. Just 287 Dodge Challenger RTs were built with the 426 Hemi in the model year 1970. Of those, only a dozen or so were equipped with both the 4-speed manual transmission and factory-installed shaker hood, making this one a near-extinct predator. That combination alone puts it in a class reserved for legends. Swing open the door, and the interior keeps that focused muscle tone alive. black vinyl bucket seats with minimal tuck and a roll stitching, a full center console housing the Hurst pistol grip shifter, and round gauges framed by a wood applique dash all reflect purpose. The inclusion of rare options like the 3-speed wiper control and a working original AM radio adds another layer to this already special car. Details like the Fratzog badge on the door panels and a tight vinyl headliner reinforce the car's attention to period-correct preservation. Beneath it all, the undercarriage stands out as clean, coated, and solid. A well-preserved exhaust system snakes past power disc brakes, and a suspension system built with torsion bars up front and leaf springs out back. The rear axle, an 8 3/4-inch unit, has been updated with non-original gears, though the exact ratio remains a mystery. Out on the road, it feels every bit the bruiser it looks. Overall, this 1970 Challenger RT is not just muscle, it is a rarity wrapped in raw force. Number 1, 1970 Dodge Coronet. Twin chrome grills wrapped around dual headlights, sitting beneath a center divider on the hood, gave the 1970 Dodge Coronet its most unique look yet. From the front alone, it was easy to spot. The shape looked like 2 stretched ovals, earning the nickname Bumblebee wings. Just behind those wings was the Superbee's new hood, with a wide power bulge that made it feel like the car was ready to pounce. Next comes the power. A matching number 383 cubic inch Magnum V8 engine made this machine roar. Sitting under the powerhouse, it had a 4-barrel carburetor, factory exhaust manifolds, and twin snorkel air cleaner. Together, these parts helped create the muscle sound and speed that people still talk about. Just behind that was a 4-speed transmission, the kind drivers could shift with the special Hurst pistol grip shifter. It clicked into gear with a strong feel, giving total control. Now, step inside. Black bucket seats held the driver tight. The dashboard showed off round-face gauges, wood grain trim, and a 150 miles per hour speedometer. With a solid-state radio and chrome mirror, it had the details that made it sporty, but not too flashy. Every part seemed built with purpose. And right here's where it gets rare. In 1970, just over 15,000 Superbee units were made in total. That includes all trims. Only 4 were convertibles, and none had this exact match of color, engine, and build features. This one was originally green, later painted bright yellow with the black tail striping and hood pins still in place. It stood out even more because the A12 package had ended the year before, and the 6-pack engine setup was limited. For that reason, no other Coronet except the Superbee could get the triple carburetor 440. That made this specific V8 even more special. More importantly, the body changed right after. Starting in 1971, the Coronet became a 4-door only car. All sporty looks and power trims were moved over to the Charger. That made the 1970 Superbee the very last of its kind with the 2-door hardtop B body style. For collectors, that detail matters a lot. Then there's the final image. From the wide black rear end stripe with the Superbee logo to the rally wheels wrapped in Cobra radial tires, the look was bold. The hood pins kept everything tight. Chrome nameplates on the hood's blister spelled out what this car meant: power, speed, and a little bit of sting. Because of all that, finding one today in solid shape with its original engine and full performance gear is really hard. These cars were built for fun, not for saving. That's the list of 12 super rare and limited classic cars that every fan should know about. Let us know your favorite in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more cool and classic car stories.